by Sandy. I'm excited, you're excited, we're all excited. Here we go.
Thank you for the introduction, Eddie. Everyone, hi, how y'all doing? I must say, I love the energy. If you know the idea, quickly, in the back, can you hear? Awesome. There, can you hear? Good. Everyone, welcome. My name is Sandy. Hope you're all having a fantastic night. Tonight we're talking about how to become a Meme Tech Mogul. And I must say, I love the energy. If you're familiar with the concept of memes, it's a lot of laughter, it's a lot of fun, so let's get the temperature up. And this is more of a personal story of running a niche startup in the field of memes. Mostly startup, mostly tech, and security adjacent, but let's start. So, we'll start the story chronologically. So, blast yourself back to 2018. In 2018, I finished high school. I was living abroad in Armenia for a couple of years, and I finished IB, which is the equivalent of AP. When I finished high school, I was 17, no longer part of the system, no longer part of the high school, and what do I do now? Well, a couple of days later, Deadpool 2 came out, and I thought to myself, well, what does a better way to celebrate the end of high school than go and see Deadpool 2 with some friends? And after what was a mediocre movie, I spoke to my friend, and back in the day, I was still a huge user of Reddit, and I told my friend, yo, listen, you ever heard of this subreddit called Meme Economy? You know, it's like, and my friend's like, yeah, it's like when people like post me templates and memes to talk about how it's like an asset you can invest in, just like, you know, verbally. I'm like, yeah, just that, but imagine if you could actually do it. That's diabolical, ridiculous, Sandy. Let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy it. Thank you. Well, and just FYI for the context, this is what Meme Economy, the subreddit, looked like in 2018. So people post memes, post templates, and see if they can get a feel. If it can get shoot up and people can start using it. And again, FYI, this is all before all the NFT craze of 2020, 2021. And so, the next day, on a very lonely evening, we had some guests over. I was living at my parents' place, and playing some games and started on a crash. Fuck. So, and so I lost 5 hours of my life for this. So what else can I do? Let's talk about that meme economy thing. How about we make it try to make a reality? At the ripe age of 17, I knew a little bit of Python, import world.do everything. I was like, sure, yeah. Hey, that's Python for you. So I can try to whip something out really quick if I really want it. So about an hour later, really bad Python, really bad coding, but hey, we tried to get there. Got the first commit, and I don't really have a server. All I have a Raspberry Pi 3, and that's when Raspberry Pi 3's just came out. I was like, let's have some fun with it. A couple of minutes later, setting it up, we had the V01. What the first V01 did? A couple of commands on the Meme Economy subreddit, so r//meme economy. The code will listen to all the subreddit comments. If you type in bank create, it will create an account for you using Reddit auth. It will deposit 1,000 meme coins. You can go, and if you find a post you like, you bang invest, boom, you can invest a number of meme coins into the post, and then it will appreciate just as an asset.
Is this free money?
It is free meme coins. If that's money for you, if you can make it money, absolutely. You can go rich on meme coins. That is the new economy. We are building it. We are building it.
God bless America.
God bless America. You wait for your assets to appreciate it, you can sell. You can sell all your shares, you can sell part of your shares. And again, this is all just one night, just fun, after friend, after birthday, after Deadpool 2 hangout. And I was like, well, let's try to make it. And also, if you go broke, you can get a handout of 100 meme coins and try to make yourself back up. So the tech stack was impressive. It was a single Python file and a state-of-the-art storage technology, a single text file. So just IO read write. That is as good as tech gets. Just IO read write. A single text file. So you probably can see where this is heading. So let's get into the fun part. So I commented one create investment command, just live test, sure, flash and Raspberry Pi. I'm gonna go have some great dinner with my parents. I've been running for way too long. Done before dinner, and now I gotta enjoy my meal. And hey Ron, let's enjoy dinner. Unbeknownst to me, while I was enjoying and seeing and schmoozing with the guests my parents were having, meanwhile, the subreddit was going batshit crazy. Somehow someone saw just single commands that posted in, and people it blew up while I was having dinner. People testing help, and here's what the help looked like. You can see all the commands that it does, and people loved it. People saw, I was like, okay, so this is something real. I know we joked about having investing in memes, talking about that means appreciating it. And now there's like a thing just out of nowhere popped up, and people got very, very curious. Indeed, they actually got extremely curious. People were creating accounts, they're investing left and right. And here's just an example. This was I do not represent what the meme stands for, but this is a good example. So this is a little night. Again, this was posted the moment I went downstairs to grab dinner. An okay mediocre meme, but I love the laughs out there. It has potential, right? It has potential. This is the proof. And so let's see what it looked like. So just a random meme posted in. 9,000 upvotes. So this is 2018 upvotes. All time high of the whole server in a matter of a couple of hours. People were going left and right texting. This is all happening live. Minutes after it's all made. One comment got 7,500 replies onto it. All the good people going crazy, just like, find this thing that appeared out of nowhere. And this is all happening unbeknownst to me. I'm just, in the meanwhile. And so this OP, posted to me, just left out and, got the all-time high of the whole server. And this post actually was one of the highest voted, upvoted posts of the whole of Reddit for that month.
Is that your Reddit username?
No, that is not my, I'm a recovering Redditor, so it's all good, it's all good. And then, just examples, just examples of how people were seeing this whole thing, Hey, it paid off big, that was the first investment, it paid off big, it blew up people. We made a couple of people very rich, a couple of rich people even richer, Hey, God bless the bourgeoisie, right? And, people could just, people could post a single comment and it goes, invest 100 meme coins, it goes to 10,000 upvotes. That's the easiest 10,000 comment karma can get. And the whole Reddit. Ballsy move, investing 1,000 meme coins, just going all in the first release. Will it pay? And it paid up handsomely. And there was a lot more. There was actually about 30,000 different comments. And this is all in the span of a couple of minutes happening. And just me, 17 years old, a single Python script using a text file. And a whole entry later that it took, almost an eternity probably from the subreddit's point of view. Where's my phone getting hot? Why am I getting all this notification on my phone? Oh my god. With no marketing, no nothing, just ran this thing on Raspberry Pi, it blew up. It went big. Okay, this is fine. The Pi was getting there. It was getting there. You could touch the thing, you could touch that, it was getting there, And probably some of you might have predicted this, but the text file is not good enough for this kind of load. If you use a text file, IO read write, and you do a couple of tens of thousands, like whole minutes, it's gonna get, you're gonna have a race condition here and there, and boom, the whole file got truncated. So everything you saw, it just disappeared, and that was the first.
And it's gone.
And it's gone. So everything just happened, just disappeared. And, we had to go down for maintenance. And we had an eye, and that's a single Python script of that night. And what felt, one eternity later, well, it was probably actually more like, about 11 minutes. It was the fastest SQL ever written, just quickly move from text file to some sort of SQLite, something very, very quick, just pop it up. I learned ACID was probably invented for a reason. It's probably we need to use databases, there is a good reason. Patrick, what's a single reason to use SQL as a text file?
Consistency.
Consistency?
Current read writes.
Yeah, exactly. And, and everything, will work just fine. And so this is the story of how meme economy and meme investor bot came to be. So now, I mentioned this happened all in May 2018. This project lasted three or four like full years after. So now let's go down the memory lane and see what happened throughout all the years. So first thing, the whole project was fully open source. So we have dozens and dozens of developers from all different companies from all around the world contributing to the glory of meme economy. So we have, this is a while ago, but yeah, dozens of developers, a lot more people opening issues, opening suggestions on how we can improve. A lot of people, I was surprised how active, like this was my first experience working with open source and leading an open source project, and people submitting their entire websites, entire front ends that was built on top of APIs that people also have written on top of our data stores. So here's an example, you can see how the economy is growing. We have whatever quintillion number that is. We have actually multiple websites running at the same time, multiple people running multiple front ends, and it was just blowing up. It was a phenomenon of meme economy. It was one of the hardest things happening in the whole of Reddit. Back then, now, give me a couple of shots and maybe. We had whole events, we had, winter holidays, the community was growing strong. It was getting more and more popular. Like in a span of a couple of months, we used our Meme Investor bot, or is the Meme Investor bot user on Reddit as our point. So every time you invest, that user will be responsible for investing and delegating all the investments for you. It was by the community, for the community. We had desk support. We had people asking questions with help. We had a news email. We had the whole thing. It was just a small thing that people just found passion for being involved in the meme economy. And we actually went as far, because as you know, all of these investments, there's some math happening behind. We want to go a step further and write an actual paper over the meme economy, of how does the meme economy operate. So a couple of math PhDs, a couple of data scientists from different companies and me, we collaborate together, and a lot of boring math later. We got a full white paper release over, this is how we calculate appreciating assets. Memes for life, and memes for money and life, and God bless LaTeX, what a great tool. Of course, this whole project, it was more of a passion. It wasn't a business proposal, it wasn't a business project or anything. So it was also more of out of pocket by me personally, and sometimes it's getting a little much. So we're having open donations on Patreon. People supporting the project, and it was covered well over the cost, which is amazing. And there was a lot, and of course, because we're operating in the realm of memes, a lot of memes were made about the meme economy, the investor product. There's so many times people will tell me, so many users, like thousands, tens of thousands, that they actually have alarms set up across the day, like every 4 hours, so they wake up even in the middle of the night to make the best investments in meme. Just 4 in the morning, boom, gotta invest in memes, gotta appreciate, gotta sell. So, you gotta get those meme coins out. Because you know what they say? Bigger number, better person. And they really take it to heart. And so, many months later, as all this happening, as the community is growing stronger, so around late 2019, we amassed more than 100,000 registered users with more than 10,000 daily investors, or daily users. Dozens of developers, we had hundreds and hundreds of PRs and features closed in, Patreon, community support, all of them, just for the love of the game, just because we love the idea of memes, and we want to see memes, let's sell them, let's trade on them. However, it was getting slow, because again, I started with Python, from a single file, it grew to a much larger code base, so it was getting really hard to maintain. It was getting slow with all the extra stuff we added, because we also had like ferns, people could build dividends, they could build index funds. It was a whole economy based on memes, and sometimes we weren't. Sometimes it was getting so hard to maintain, as I said, But we go down and, I had to wake up in the middle of the night. That was my first experience as an on-call. Before I had to be an on-call officially. So, yeah, hey, to all the on-call engineers out there, God's work. And so we had a couple of technical challenges. People, I think, here would be interested. So since the SQLite days, we moved to MySQL because, SQLite wasn't cutting towards performance. It was better to have something server and just off the premise. It was way before the Python annotation days, so if I can expect the stream advantage is a bane of my existence. And since the general goals for implementations, which are being lifted now, the backup performance, we're getting too slow, and since I believe in vertical scaling, not horizontal, and it was not cutting it. And we were getting slaughtered with memes how bad meme economy was now. it was not up to par, it was not up to performance. Our APIs were breaking, it was just not handling, therefore all the front end websites were, and people were mad. And if you're leading a social project with 100,000 users and something's not working, prepare to be doxxed very quickly. And I mean like within a couple of hours, they'll find everything that they can find on you and post it on as well. And that was not so fun, but hey, you know, like experience, right? You live, you learn. And so let's do a rewrite. You know, what's better to rewrite than Rust? No, we're not doing that. I was a big fan of Go, and I still am, so I was like, well, let me rewrite Go. You know, it's just something quick, something scalable, something that will just get the job done. And so one decision that we made super unpopular was moving from open source to closed source. We were targeting the old repository because it was full rewrite. The last thing didn't apply. And so the quick question that I would ask, what do you think a good reason for a meme trading or just economy place to move from open source to closed source?
Stealing!
Stealing? What do you mean by that?
You steal.
Oh, me steal, I get it. Well, don't burn me like that, okay? Please don't burn me. It's been years, you know, no one still has found out about it. No, so the problem is, we all have credit scores, right? And say in a world where Experian told you how they calculate the credit score, say they told you the magic formula, you can easily min-max, you know, and everyone's gonna have 850s, you know, from that point on. And we were operating under a similar pain. Because all of our formulas, all of our weights, all of our strategies were open source, there are people that know math out there, they could easily reverse engineer and min-max and, you know, find the best times to become quintillionaires very, very quickly. And so we had so many sub-projects, so many sub-groups building ML models and building HFT, which is high-frequency trading models like TradeBot, or we had our own Jane Street on the market that was just hammering the markets. We tried to build a balanced economy where we always had to deal with like runaway inflations. But it was called reverse quantitative easing strategies. That is not drug pulling. That is just trying to fight inflation. And of course, we tried to keep our pricing model secret, and that's when we decided to move to closed source. And let's jump forward a little much later. So after that, you know, since the success was so revenue and big, we made the decision to go corporate. So we incorporated Meme Economy. So there is a company called Meme Economy that's based on building markets for people to trade and speculate on memes, stock popularity. The rewrite was much faster. We're like, you know, 10, 100 times faster at this point. There's sectors of lukewarm, ranging from strong likings to disapprovals as closing up the source. And mostly scalpers and mostly HFT players. We even got a shiny website, which looked very, very clean, and you know, investors, firms, anyone, they could go and start issuing dividends on memes. They could start building index funds with memes. It was pretty fun. However, the darker side of the story, I was getting burnt out. To add a little more color, at the time in college, I was in college. It was my junior, senior year. I was pursuing 3 degrees in college, working 2 jobs, and I still really want to have some social life, or semblance of it. And, you know, also support the entirety of the economy, one of the biggest things from Reddit at the time. So sleep was never an option. My business partner and I, that we co-founded the company together, was also a college student in business, of course. But God bless his heart, you know, he was doing all the VC funding, he was doing all the community outreach, all the funds, everything, and couldn't have done without him. And so a little later on, about the end of 2020, we got approached a couple of times by a couple of interesting parties, and one party interested us as well. They wanted to acquire the whole company that we just made, the entire meme economy. And again, we were getting burnt out, so that was a good timing. The company themselves are pre-seed round, but have gotten strong VC funding. And think of when money was free. Think of Fed rates, zeros, right? 2020, 2021 slush money. is, life is good. Life is good then. We got the stimulus checks, the whole thing. They like what we have in terms of tech platform, active community, and everything we built, the strong trust. And after some negotiations, we got to know each other a little better. We closed the deal in 2020, and we made the full exit late 2021. So, hey, thank you!
We have a tradition here.
Yeah.
Is this your first talk?
Yes, but I cannot drink.
You gave away the secret.
Oh.
You gave away the secret.
Hey, we are being transparent here, but I'll still. hey, man, cheers.
The line was saying more believable. They fucked it up.
My bad. Oh, this is really strong. Absolutely. No, hell, it's strong. So, what is the moral of the story of this one? Well, the whole endeavor was probably the most valuable experience I've got in my entire life. And it showed that, the whole story of running something of a niche startup, based on my parents' bedroom, really, to a bittersweet ending of the acquisition. So since then, our website was new to the market, it rebranded itself, all trust a new owner, new company, and that's something that I'm actively working towards again. A little history, the first commit, at main investor classes, the main class, nothing big, think of like, I don't need to compare myself to Linus, but like this is to me something of a Linux first commit, I'm building this little thing called Meme Economy Investing. I'm not gonna be big, it's gonna be fine. Just my own free time. And so, just to wrap it up, just want to say thank you and goodbye to Meme Investor Bot, Meme Economy, and the great years and the great fun that we've had. Yes.
So you say like this whole like meme investor thing, but like you talk about like this whole like a meme investor thing, but like what do you think about meme pages on Instagram? Because like they sell them for like thousands of dollars. So is that not part of the meme investment or like meme economy?
That is not what I would call meme economy, but hey, I think it's cringe. But if you make a lot of money out of it while selling your Insta page, all power to you. That's actually such a good story, but all power to you. So yeah, does that answer the question? Yeah. This whole deck was an adaptation of another article I wrote, more of a written form, and this is a deck adaptation. So if you're interested, I can share the link later or whatever. But yeah, thank you everyone. Woo! Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandy. We're going to have our next talk here in about 5 or 6 minutes. It'll be on radio frequency analysis in Android. If anyone knows how to use a Slim Jim, we could use your help on a 2008 Ford Ranger. We're not admitting to owning a Slim Jim, but if you know how to use one. Find it. All right, music.
If anyone has questions, I'll be around here. So feel free to bother me, talk to me. We'd love to talk about it. So, yeah. Thank you, everyone.
You're so awesome.
Put the microphone close to the mouth.
Hello! Can you hear me? Hello! Oh, kind of hear me, sure. Does it work now? Does it work now? I'm sorry. I think it works now. Hello everyone. Here's our presentation, our second presentation for the night. This is Axon with mobile software-defined radio analysis on Android. And it will be certainly interesting. You can go right ahead.
All right, thanks. What's up, hackers? Software-defined radio is changing the way that we can intercept radio signals and analyze them. And now we have several apps on Android that let us do this stuff in the field. You can use just a small SDR dongle like this and a USB adapter, hook it up to your phone. For those who have not met me, I am Noah. You can call me Axon. I've been around in cybersecurity and IT for a long time. I've been messing with RF since 1987 and SDR since, SDR since about 2012.
What a nerd!
I talk about some cheap hardware. I already introduced the RTL SDR. There are several flavors of this, from Newelec to RTLSDR.com. They get their name from the RTL chip that's inside. There's a tuner and a demodulator. And this chip was originally for decoding digital TV, but it also gives you raw access to the signals. So this was a cheap device that got really popular around 2012 and has been used in all sorts of applications. There's tons of software support for it, and there's a lot of different versions. HackerF1, I have a cheap Chinese knockoff HackerF1. They go for about $300 for the real one. You can get them for $200, $150 or so from AliExpress. I've had good luck with mine. Some people have not had good luck with theirs. Obviously, it's kind of a nice roll when you go for counterfeit hardware. I've never regretted mine. But there's also the Portapack add-on that you can throw on it that gives it a lot of menus and a lot of capabilities without hooking it up to a phone or a PC at all. So that's an option. Before you get started, you will also have to pick up some antenna of some sort. Something mobile would be good. You don't really want to have like a gigantic Yagi or base station antenna if you're trying to get up to a mobile phone. These are a couple of starter kits. I actually got one over there on the right side, or left side rather. And that's what I started off with. I've gotten a bunch of other ones since then. These, like you can see, they go for $25 for just the equipment to $45, $50 with some accessories. Lots of interesting things that you can find and tune into. It's just a matter of knowing how to find them and where to look. These frequency ranges have a lot of radio voice chatter. Some of these are licensed like business band, amateur radio, aviation, and some of them are like your FRS walkie-talkies, citizens band, and other devices like that. There's also digital signals that you can analyze mobile, and a lot of those are focused in the same ranges that the business band are there. So these frequency ranges are also good to look at. Federally, the Electronics Privacy Act of 1986 and other laws prevent interception of telephone and pager information without any consent. Some states also have laws about using scanners while you're driving or in the commission of a crime, so these are charges that can get tagged on. Some of these laws have a lot of cases that you can study if you want to understand how they're enforced and under what circumstances. For instance, if you're just looking at pager data on your phone or at home, nobody can tell, right? Nobody's going to see. But if you publish that, like you stream it or you put a YouTube video up on how you're doing it and you happen to publish a bunch of pager information, maybe not. And I think it goes without saying, don't commit a crime using this. Furthermore, you may run into information while you're scanning or monitoring that could be abused. Just don't be a jerk. It's worth knowing how to gather information about the signals that you're hearing, and also about entities that you might want to monitor, such as nearby radio stations that are in your area that you could listen to. This list of websites here, and I'll publish this on my blog here when I'm done, but this list of websites is always good for a lot of that OSN type stuff. Analog waterfall tools are most people's introduction to software-defined radio. This is the, they all have the same features for the most part. There's a big, gigantic window of RF data and, a bunch of controls around it. These controls can be confusing, even for someone like me who's just getting into a new piece of software, because the interfaces are not always the same. I'll show you a couple of details, though, from SDR++ and SDR Angel. These are cross-platform apps that both run on Android, but they also run on Mac, Windows, and Linux. These controls are not always in the same place, and they're not even always called the same thing. So before you can use the SDR software, you typically have to set up a source or a tuner. Sometimes you might have to install a driver, like on Android, there's a RTL SDR driver you have to install that comes with SDR Touch, for example. On Windows, you might have to do some fun stuff with SATA. But then we'll cover some of that a little bit later. Usually in the tuner setup menu, you've got your source, so you actually have to pick the source, and then you can set up your sample rate. And your sample rate is just the bandwidth that it's picking up. Technically, these things kind of have like a built-in sound card in them, so it's actually taking all of the RF energy and pulling it down to almost audible frequencies. Now, if you just listen to them raw, it probably wouldn't make any sense. Unless it was AM, then you might be able to kind of make out some stuff. But the software does all of the decoding. The sample rate tells you how much of that radio information is picking up at one time. Once your tuner is selected and you've got your sample rate, you can start the receiver. There's almost always kind of some start button, or sometimes it looks like a power button, and that will start and stop the receiver. It's pretty much universal across the platforms. Some of the tools let you select the RF bandwidth. Again, this can't be any higher than the sample rate, and most of the software, like GQRX, will just it uses the RF bandwidth, and the sample rate is kind of the same thing. RF gain is sometimes included in the sources, but sometimes it's just another menu option. This is the amount of amplification that the low noise amplifier is being given. So you're literally just software controlling the amplifier that's built into the RTL SDR. I know some of this is a little bit dry, but you've got to actually know where all these controls are if you're going to use any of this software. Automatic gain control lets the software automatically drive on the gain. Sometimes it does a better job than you can do. Other times, if you manually tweak the settings, you can get a clearer audio system. You just kind of have to experiment. The tools get their name from the waterfall, right? This is just a never-ending, moving stream of colors that comes down, and they show where the RF energy is the highest. It tells you where the activity is that you can tune. Above the waterfall, we've got the pan adapter. This is a real-time RF energy spectrum, and it highlights where the peaks are right now. Some of the tools have this thing that they call peaks, and it keeps track of where the highest energy levels were on the spectrum. If you're watching, FRS, you can see which channels are being used, even if it's been hours. You can say, oh, well, this channel did get used because there's going to be a little peak over here. So you can historically know, yes, this channel is being used. This is really good if you want to just leave your stuff running for a long time, and then you'll have kind of a pretty good idea of which channels you want to listen to later to see if you can find that activity. The tuner is the primary control, and this is the way you change the frequency you're trying to listen to. This may move the filter around on the display, or sometimes it causes the entire display to jump and recenter. It kind of depends on which software you're using and how it's configured. Changing those frequencies is a little awkward. For instance, here, if you don't want to click and you want to jump around, you actually have to click like above or below the number, which is a little awkward at first. Then there's the demodulation, right? So you've got narrowband FM, wideband FM, AM, upper sideband, lower side. You've got all the different modulations here. This is how you tell it what signal type you want to listen to. Generally speaking, narrowband FM is going to be your business band and amateur radio on the VHF and UHF, whereas wide FM is going to be your broadcast FM, like if you're trying to tune in commercial FM radio. Again, those different modulation schemes have different parameters, and that one of them is the filter width or bandwidth. Again, the narrow FM can be 12 kilohertz or 12.5 kilohertz to 25 kilohertz for some of the narrow FM, and the wide FM is typically around 150 to 200 kilohertz. A lot of times if you mess with that RF filter, you can also clean up the audio a little bit as well. So much like RF gain, there's an audio gain on some of these, but it's basically a volume knob. You can overdrive this. So if your audio starts to sound distorted or clipped or compressed, that means you've driven your audio gain too high. Now I've got a video demo here because I couldn't quite get my phone to do all of this reliably over HDMI. So I've got about a 7-minute video here where I demonstrate 4 different software suites, and they're kind of in order of how easy they are to use. But I'll just go ahead and run that, and let's pray that my laptop's audio is going to be somewhat legible.
SDR Touch is one of the oldest Android SDR apps, and in my opinion, its interface is the easiest to use out of all SDR apps on any platform, really. On the right side is a scrolling menu, and on the left side are bookmarks. But before we dive into actually using it, let's talk about some of the controls. You've got your modulation type or signal type. Spectrum analyzer turns on and off the spectrum when it's running. Squelch lets you quiet a signal when there's nothing really there, so you don't listen to static. You can jump to a frequency anywhere in the tuner range. You can scan within your memory channels, record and open a recording, and then also set your RF and audio as well, which will be important later on. There's also another preferences menu, but you don't really need to access that most of the time. This app pretty much just works. The power button here turns on the receiver. And when I turn on the spectrum analyzer, we can start to see where the strong signals are. And since we hear all this noise in the background, we can use squelch to shut that off. When we tune to a frequency, we can hear it again. And you can scroll around between 88 and 108 megahertz, which is the FM broadcast band. This is kind of the hello world of SDR. And this is how you can familiarize yourself, make sure that your antenna works, make sure that your SDR receiver normally works, and obviously the software works as well. So it makes a good end-to-end test. The presets menu has different categories. You can save your presets in various folders. For instance, I've got one here just for FM broadcast. And you can save a new frequency just by adding, and it's called PM. So it's already picked it up from the RPSs. You can see that's pretty cool. You can select your various other categories. Like I've got one here for just two-way ham radio communications and stuff like that. So this is pretty handy. You can save a lot of frequencies, you can organize them, and it makes listening to analog conversations on radio very easier. I think it's worth the $10. RF Analyzer, on the other hand, is a free Android app, and it's not necessarily as intuitive, but because it's free, it's actually pretty popular. It does okay, but a lot of stuff is buried down here in the settings menu, and overall, it can be a little glitchy, and it's not as intuitive as I mentioned. You can still jump around, you can still set bookmarks and folders and things like that, but you'll notice that there's not an obvious tuner here. And this weird thing named off box is the key to your demodulation. So we can set narrowband FM, and I'm going to warn you there's going to be some static. I'll try and do relatively similar to atoms. You can see that I distinctively when you can get this bar here. This is your pulse control, and everything on the screen is super tiny and hard to control. So you have to figure that out. But we can tune into weird digital signals and listening signals. And there's not any analog code for me to tune into in this part of the spectrum right now. But here you can manipulate your FRS radios, business band radios, GMRS, and other things up here in the 462 to 468 megahertz range. Now we're going to get into what are basically desktop SDR apps that have been ported in. The first of these is SDR++, which you have to sideload. This is it's actually pretty stable, but the fact that all the controls are super tiny and better off using a stylus or even a Bluetooth mouse in order to mess with the controls here. So the first thing we have to do is make sure that we select RTL SDR and then hit refresh to get it to text our receiver. And again, you've got a play button here, right? That seems logical. You've got your throttle control. We can turn this down so that we don't overwhelm us all in front of the record. And you can see we've got a nice waterfall structure. SDR++ also works on Android, works on Windows, Mac. So this app is totally cross-platform, and it's actually really simple. It's one of my favorites, but it's, again, the UX is a little thing. One thing you'll notice here is whenever I tap on a signal, it jumps to that as a center. So there's a couple of ways you can mess with things here, but overall, the interface here is much more than you would expect from a desktop app. We've got loads and loads and loads of settings, and here's where you can change the different modulation schemes as well. We've got squelch hiding someplace here, but since I've got the audio turned down, the squelch doesn't matter that much here. Anyway, this is a full-featured desktop suite, and it runs just fine.
Sorry about that.
And it's actually pretty cool. I like this one, especially when I'm using the hack RF, because I can get 20 megahertz spectrum from here in a nice display. SDR Angel is a whopper of an SDR app. I would call this kind of the killer SDR app. And again, this also runs on Windows, and Mac, as well as the Android port. It works really, really well, and it's better for modulating digital signals. Its interface is super confusing for newcomers. So you start with selecting the configuration panel, and you've got a variety of options here, and I've added some custom. If I want to look at airplanes in the sky, for instance, I can select ADS-B. And what we've got here is our SDR device is tuned to 1090 megahertz, which is the ADS-B frequency. And we can watch on the spectrum as we receive bits of data. You can see blips of data come through. When I come over here, you can see actual aircraft identifiers coming in. We can even put them on the map. Watch these airplanes as they fly. So this gives us their altitude and feet. Again, these apps are desktop apps, and they work a lot better with a stylus like I'm using here, or a Bluetooth mouse or something like that. The other thing is, we've got a lot of different visual layouts. So the tab layout that I'm using here isn't the only way you can do this. You can also try and cram things into a scrollable workspace. But again, we're trying to do all of this on the resources of an Android device. In the field, this is great. At home, I'd probably be choosing to use this on a desktop or a laptop of some sort instead of on on a really nice Android tablet, I think this would probably work really well.
Let's go back to this. Sorry, there's just no way I could have gotten through that. My phone wouldn't stay connected to
SDR is one of the oldest Android SDR apps, and in my opinion,
Sorry.
it's the easiest to use out of all.
I did want to try to run a demo of, this is the software that I covered in here, and there's a couple others, like X-Radio ADSB is a $2 app that is a little more intuitive if you're really into watching airplanes in the sky with ADSB. And HackerF Test, I'm going to try to do a demo with HackerF Test if I've got a couple of minutes here. So I'm going to give that a shot. HackerF Test, the HackerF can transmit, right? So you can record and replay signals. It works completely different from how a flipper does. So the flipper has a digital modem that reads the digital radio signal and then tries to reconstruct that when it transmits. Software-defined radio is actually recording the baseband and then it's re-spamming that back out. So the way that SDR transmit works is considerably different. But I've got an RF light switch over there with a little light bar attached to it, and somewhere it fell. I've got the remote so I can try and replay. And then, did you want to try to see if you can spam some PopSeg? I don't know. I don't really have a good way to display it on the screen, but I can try and do a live capture of PopSeg data here. And yeah, I've been going. We're pretty good. And SecKC the plane is what I got from. Oh, the plane. But yeah, so we've got a typo pager message. He's transmitting on the amateur radio band with a portable hotspot, and I had his consent to receive those pager messages with PopSeg. So what I did here today is actually legal, whereas if I decide to tune to 158.7 megahertz or 158.1 megahertz, maybe that wouldn't necessarily be the best idea. So don't do that. I'm going to just try to do the replay real quick so you can see that it actually works. May the demo god smile on me. So again, this is my cheap Chinese knockoff HackerF one that my wife bought me from AliExpress or something like that. And I can receive with this on my normal SDR apps if I want, but I'm going to try to use my HackerF Test app instead. Can you see the light bar over there? I'll bring it across. So yeah, we've got the light bar here, and I can turn this on or off with my remote. And I'm going to try to record me turning it off and on, and off and on. So it's down here now, and we'll see if this works. It says it's transmitting, but it's not. The demo guys has not smiled on me today. I thought this was 433, but
He's my buddy, so I can.
anyone can boo me. It's fine. You know how the demo guys do.
Just hit the remote, we'll believe you. Way behind noise environment. I thought this was 433.92 megahertz, but it may be a 315 megahertz transmitter, and I just forgot. That's what I suspect the issue is, but I'm out of time. Do you have questions about this?
I have a question.
Yes.
How busy is the pager band these days?
Hospitals and the county ECC, I think, I've heard through the grapevine, might still use it a lot. And so I suspect if you decided to monitor that, you would probably see things like medical calls, hey, we need ER suite number 17 cleared up, or I do know that when I called the ambulance for my wife, that an ECC message went out with our address on it, like a year or something ago, I think. Pagers are still being used. It seems to be VHF pagers. I don't know why, but they are still being used. Yes?
What is the output power on the hack RF, and are there amplifiers available?
What is the output power of the hack RF? It's about 50 milliwatts or so. It's about like a garage door. There's lots of ways you can amplify it. Just look for ham radio amplifier type stuff and QRP rig amplifiers. Depending on what frequency range you're trying to hit, will determine what kind of amplifier you need to get. It goes from 1 megahertz all the way to 6 gigahertz, and there's absolutely no amplifier on the planet that I'm aware of that covers that broad range. Yeah.
Use Android devices fast enough to do higher modes of modulation, such as SSRK or QAM?
Are the Android powerful enough to handle more computationally complex modes like QAM? I have tried and successfully decoded DMR, but I can't remember if DMR is technically QAM. I know on the desktop you have all the QAM stuff there that you can use, but on Android I haven't really successfully done a whole lot with those higher computation modes. One thing I did not cover is decimators. Decimators reduces the signal. It reduces the sample rate while collapsing it down, and that helps with computationally complex nodes. So you may actually be able to do some of that on Android with that. Any other questions? Cool. Thanks, folks. Hack the planet.
Thank you very much. So this was our last SecKC meeting of the whole frickin' year, if you can believe that. Our next meeting will be in January. Don't forget to study your ham radio testing materials. Hamstudy.org. Find and read. We're on the comms channel for the sign up link. It is limited spots. If you did not complete the survey is now closed for how you heard about tonight. I'll still get feedback on that. Yeah, I think we're all good here. Thank you so much for coming out. And if you know how to use a Slim Jim, again, we don't have one here, but if you knew how to use one, you could use your help. Legally. Thank you.